Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the United Regional Chamber's weekly update. We try to bring you on some interesting guests and some interesting subjects that are happening around the area. And today it's very happy to bring on Jennifer Keating we both serve on the TDI committee, and that's where I met Jen. And we're also going to introduce you in a minute to John Wright. He is the director of Shakespeare in the skate park. But first off, Jennifer is the executive director of Illuminate. And Jen, tell us a little bit about Jen and then Illuminate.
All right. Well, hi. Yes, I'm Jennifer Keating. I'm the director of Illuminate Creative and Theatrical Arts. We have actually been part of the Attleboro community for over 10 years now. But you may not have heard of us because we've been busy serving the homeschool community, which travels from hours all around the area to take classes and to do productions and in all areas of the arts. So I am also, I have to say, a side note, I'm a resident of Attleboro for the past 20 years, and I've been living in the downtown TDI district myself. So very happy to be finally really connecting with the community of Attleboro and bringing our expertise over the past decade to bring free theater to our community and our neighborhoods.
Well, one of the things that we're doing as part of the TDI committee, which is the Transformative District Initiative, is to attract more people into downtown. And putting on events like Jen and John are going to talk about in a minute is one of the reasons the TDI committee has got together. We've gotten some money from Mass Development to help with these programs, but it's more to attract folks to come into downtown, to shop into downtown, to go to the restaurants. And so, Jen, tell us a little bit more now about Illuminate itself. Tell me what you do there.
Well, yeah, so we offer classes in, like I said, all areas of the arts. And what that means is we've got classes in acting and music, dance, media. We have art classes. We have classes that handle backstage. So, set design, construction, costume design. And they're for ages 4 through 18. And as I said before, we've been serving the homeschool community. So currently a lot of the classes are offered during the day. And sometimes kids are dropped off on a Tuesday and they stay all day and take all kinds of classes. Our productions, they kind of rival professional productions you might see in Providence. We happen to have a beautiful stage down in Pawtucket where we're able to pull out all the stops and do massive shows like Frozen, and we just did Singing in the Rain where it actually rained on stage. The picture you're seeing now is some of our performance outreach that we've done in the area. That's in Cuddy Court, where we have brought free theater for a couple of years now. And moving into our next decade, we will be opening up to all schoolers. We are going to have some after-school programs that are being offered so that more kids can be part of this incredible community. If you ask me, there isn't enough art to go around. It's something, we're very science and math focused these days, social media focused maybe, technology. And what kids really need to do is use their imaginations and play and get a little messy and work together to create something beautiful.
And that's what you've been producing for the last 10 years. But fortunately, we've got you now here in Attleboro. And speaking of productions, I understand that you've hired this creative genius, John Wright, to help us and help you produce Shakespeare in the skate park. John, welcome. Tell us about John.
Hey, thank you. TDI community, Attleboro community. I'm John Wright, and I'm a Rhode Island native. I grew up and I'm currently in Barrington. But let's see, I studied acting since I was a little kid, majored in it in college, went off to New York City to become rich and famous. Did not make that happen. But I stayed busy with hip hop music and some theater productions and a little independent video production. And so now back in Rhode Island, I am pulling a lot of those things back together as an independent small business owner. I, collaborate with people like Jen and also with other schools and groups that want to put on productions as a hired gun director, producer, or AV guy, or making videos. I'm a storyteller that likes to do tech with like low tech, high tech hybrid. And Shakespeare is kind of perfect for that, I think.
Well, now that you've led right into that, tell us about Shakespeare in the skate park.
Shakespeare in the skate park is going to be, high tech, low tech. We're going to be fully amplified with headset mics, and we'll have a little set. But the fun thing about Shakespeare is that it's a language based thing, right? It's all about the sound. You used to say, let's go hear a play. Now we think about seeing plays, but Shakespeare is so much about the fun and the musicality of the language. And so sometimes you see productions that I think you can tell they left the text too soon to set Hamlet on the moon or whatever, but the key, I think, is staying with the language and finding all the fun that's right in there. So I'm working with kids. I think, you got to find the fun in the language. But the beauty is when you hear beautiful language spoken well, and everything else on top is extra. It's the candy and whipped cream. But I grew up, going to, here's a backstage view. I grew up going to Trinity Rep and stuff like that. So if you know their style with Shakespeare, that's me too. I'm not trying to be all traditional with it. So we've got fairies who will be doing unexpected things with music and dance and maybe even some skateboards. Why not? We're in a skate park. We figured it all out. But it'll be experimental in that way. We've set up our show in the 90s, so it'll be a fun 90s soundtrack, which I won't give away. But we'll have some grunge elements in there, maybe some hip hop elements, and so it won't be the Midsummer Night's Dream that you would have seen 500 years ago by any means.
Well, Jen, what made you choose Shakespeare?
Well, honestly, it was some conversations with the folks at TDI when we were talking about using more of the spaces in downtown Attleboro. And Shakespeare in the Park is something that I remember going to. I've been to, I know Boston used to do this. I don't know if they still do at Boston Commons. And in New York, I lived in New York for a couple of years, and it was a big deal. And Shakespeare is something that will surprise people. Like John said, you might think, oh, I won't understand that. But there's something about this language that translates to any audience, and it just comes alive. And when you are able to sit down and watch a show, I mean, if you think about it, if you go to see a movie nowadays, a lot of times people will leave and you've been inspired somehow by what you saw the character work through in the plot, in the storyline. And if it's an especially well done movie, you'll really be moved. And that's the power of the arts. And so people, if it's available to them for free, which is only net because of the grants provided by Mass Development and TDI, they're able to experience this for themselves, where they can kind of take a break from their regular crazy, hectic lives that we all have, and maybe watch a fun show where they see characters making mistakes, doing silly things, but ultimately working out problems that, even though they were written, I don't even know how many
400
years ago,
500, but it's more like 400, 1600, I think.
Yeah, it's like, wow, I can relate to that.
It's
and
amazing.
It helps you in your own life. You leave that and you're inspired just by watching what they work through together.
I think it's beautiful too that that the language is so old. It's almost like if you go to a church where they do liturgy, like you can imagine, like people have been praying these prayers for hundreds of years. So the same thing when you go to see Shakespeare, like this story is so good that it's been going on every year for 400 years, and we are part of that tradition. And I think that's beautiful. You're like listening with your ancestors to these stories and these words.
And you mentioned that you're bringing some of the 90s into it too. And I can't ask you to reveal any of that stuff, but it sounds really interesting from 400 years ago to not too long ago.
Right.
So tell us a little bit more about the production. What's involved?
What's involved? What is involved, Jen? We got a little, we got costumes and sets that we're working on. Like I said, we're going to do high tech in terms of we're amplifying all the actors. We're gonna dive deep into the language and the stories. If you don't know the story of Midsummer, there's a couple worlds going on. There's the world of Athens, which we are not. We're doing 90s Attleboro instead of 1700s Athens or whatever it's supposed to take place. So there's the world of the city, and there are these young lovers that are like having a love triangle, if you will. And of course, dad wants his daughter to marry the right one, not the wrong one, and she doesn't like him. And then there's this world of the fairies, and the fairies get involved with their magic and make the wrong one fall in love with so there's this confusion about who loves who, and it ends up bringing in this whole acting troupe. There's the famous play within a play, which is a hilarious part of the show, as these terrible actors try to put on a show to impress the Duke, and the lovers and the fairies are there, and they turn one into a crazy monster who I won't say too much, but so there's fairies, there's actors, there's lovers. They're all getting lost in the woods and trying to figure out who is this whole thing a dream? There's this very dreamlike quality to the show. So it lends itself to adding music and dance, and the fairies can be anything you want them to be. So in our show, they're going to be some kind of 90s grunge rock band.
And how many actors or actresses are involved?
Yeah.
We have about 15 kids signed up right now. The way it works out, we've actually been doing for the past 10 years a show in a week every June. It's the same week that we normally do our show in a week. And this year it's just Shakespeare, as opposed to like last year we did High School Musical. And so, yeah, we have about 15 kids signed up. We're going to do a workshop next week with them to kind of get a feel for where they're at with the language, so John can kind of start thinking about casting choices. But I did want to mention that even though this is what we're doing as part of it, we're offering the production. I am collaborating with the library and the Y and the Attleboro Arts Museum and several other TDI downtown partners, so that there can be activities, there'll be games, there's going to be some food. We also have an elementary Shakespeare in the Park. So we have our younger kids, ages 8 to 11. They are going to do a 10-minute version of Much Ado About Nothing that's made for that age group. I think our puppets are going to make an appearance. They're going to attempt to do some Shakespeare. Our puppet program has been funded by the local cultural councils, and it's been wildly popular at Illuminate and with our audiences. So we got a lot planned. I heard today that the Y might want to do a 90s step aerobics class. To get the audience moving.
That sounds good.
Okay. That'll be interesting.
I think that everyone's really seeming to be excited about this, and they want to join in, and the library is going to have a whole display about Shakespeare and some resources for people. We're going to just have a lot of fun with both the 90s and with Shakespeare. Why not?
And if somebody wanted to, go ahead, John.
Theater, like how collaborative it is. You can you get started and you've got like $500 and like you just commit to it and you buy one thing and you're like, I don't know how we're going to get mics for the other 5 kids, but then people just pile on. They're like, I love what you're doing, and all of a sudden you get a library that wants to help out and food trucks coming in, and that's the beauty, I think, of community that's in the arts, communal arts, community theater, and why we've been doing theater for so long after football has died and gone away. There will still be theater,
Well, it's called collaboration. And that's one of the things that this TDI committee has put together, is working with all the different organizations within the downtown of Attleboro and a little bit outside of Attleboro too. It's been a great program put on by Mass Development. Our TDI fellow is Tracy Barbosa, and she's a big supporter of this, along with Mim over at the library, and Amy at the library, Mim over at the museum. But it's partnerships that make stuff like this work. And we were able to get a grant from Mass Development to help with Shakespeare in the skate park, as well as many other programs in downtown.
Yep.
So tell us what the hours of the performance are.
So the festival technically begins at 4. It's going to be 4 to 7, kind of a little burst of performance and activity, as opposed to being something that's offered all day. It is the first time. Nothing like this has been done before at Balfour Riverwalk Park, and we've never done anything like this before. So I always tell everyone that you got to just take the first step and see what doors open, and make the mistakes as they might happen, and learn from that, and come back the next year and do something even bigger and better, right? So maybe eventually it could be an all-day thing. But we're going to open up at 4 with vendors and activities and games, the kids' performance, the puppets, and then Midsummer will be starting at about 6 o'clock or so. And we're going to kind of shut down everything just so that we can focus on Midsummer when that happens. We'll have free popcorn for the audience. We're going to try to make this just a really nice evening. I hope everyone will bring their blankets and bring a picnic and just have a great time out. And hopefully it'll be nice out. We do have a rain date. I don't have that listed anywhere, but the rain date is the next day.
No rain.
Yeah, there won't be any rain. So
that was something else I was going to ask. What should people bring? Should they bring blankets? Should chairs? If they want to bring a little bit of picnic, that'd be great too. But tell us what they need.
Yeah, definitely bring something to sit on. Maybe in future grants, we'll be able to provide seating for everybody, but we're not there yet for the first time around. So yeah, make yourself comfortable. We think that the audience, we're still working out where exactly the stage will be and where the audience will be, but it's looking like they will be sitting on a nice grassy area. So yeah, picnic blankets would be a good idea, and maybe those camping chairs, whatever you would bring to a ball game, I suppose.
All right. Well, as we wrap up, any final thoughts? Let's start with you, John.
I just have such fond memories too. I remember going to Shakespeare at the Delacorte in New York City, and just the energy and the tradition, the quality of actors, especially in New York. I mean, here we are working with kids, so I'm not, saying we're going to compete with Meryl Streep, but I just love it. I love Shakespeare in the Park, the tradition. If you've never been to a Shakespeare in the Park, as the sun's starting to go down and get cool, and you got your picnic and whatever else you sneak in your little, no, you're never mind. But it's just a great community, and then you're here, and you got to come. If you've been, you know what I'm talking about, and if you haven't, come see Shakespeare in the Park.
And Jen, how about you? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I have a couple of final thoughts. First of all, if you're someone who wants to do things like this, you want to have an event at Cuddy Court or the Riverwalk Park, TDI is in Attleboro right now to make it possible, to make it kind of accessible and easy to have events and performances and all kinds of art. So that's one thing I just wanted to say. I always want to encourage people to take the step like this. What we're doing right now, like I said, we've never done it before, but we're gonna throw everything we can into it, and we've got the support from the Downtown Partnership and the library and the Y and the Art Museum, and we're just gonna see what happens. It's really exciting to do something like this. So that's just a general encouragement to go for it. If you have an idea and you want to do something in the community, just take that step and reach out and get support, because it is out there. And then, yeah, as far as the show, come see it. Just come see it. It's free. It's right downtown. You can go hit all the restaurants after, and it'll be a nice evening together with your friends and family.
Well, and just to top off, if you have an idea or you've got a program that you'd like to talk about coming into downtown, either Balfour Riverwalk Park or Cuddy Court, don't hesitate to reach out to Kaylin Locklear. She is the Community Development Director at City Hall. She does a fantastic job, and the city administration is not going to like this, but Kaylin's brought you out of the 17th century when it came to social media and getting the public out there. So we really appreciate all the efforts that Kaylin puts in. But folks, thank you once again for joining us here at the United Regional Chambers Weekly Update. John, Jen, thanks for being my guest today. We'll hope to see you at Shakespeare in the skate park. And shout out to James Friedman and all the team over there at AACS for putting up with me every week. We truly appreciate it. So, folks, stay safe. Have a great week.